The Galactic survey vessel Eternal Wisdom hung silently in high orbit above the unassuming yellow star's third planet, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in countless directions. Admiral Vextel stood before the ship's primary observation window, all four of his eyes fixed on the blue-white marble below. His normally pristine silver scales had taken on a distinctly worried hue of green. "Impossible," he muttered, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Run the scans again." Chief Science Officer Zyra's tentacles rippled with barely contained excitement as she manipulated the holographic displays. "The readings are consistent, Admiral. The humans aren't just manipulating quantum fields, they're dancing with them. The energy signatures we're detecting from their orbital platforms suggest they've somehow developed practical applications of quantum entanglement on a massive scale." The Admiral's scales shifted to a deeper green. When the Galactic Council had dispatched his vessel to investigate unusual energy readings from this previously overlooked system, he'd expected to find another primitive civilization taking its first stumbling steps into space. Instead, they'd found this. "But they've never even joined the quantum exchange," he protested. "They haven't had access to the unified theories. How could they have developed this independently?" Before Zyra could respond, the ship's AI chimed in, its voice carrying the harmonics of urgent priority. "Admiral, we're detecting an approaching vessel. It appears to have materialized from quantum foam." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as a sleek vessel, roughly half the size of their own, seemed to coalesce from nothing. Its hull gleamed with an impossible iridescence, as if it existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "They're hailing us," the AI announced. On screen, Vextal ordered, his scales now cycling through various shades of anxiety. The holographic display materialized, showing a human female with dark skin and silver-streaked hair. She wore what appeared to be a neural interface crown, its delicate filaments merging seamlessly with her natural hair. "Greetings, visitors. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Quantum Defense Force. Welcome to Sol System." Her smile was warm, but her eyes held the sharp intelligence of a predator. "We've been expecting you." Vextel's mandibles clicked in surprise. "You knew we were coming?" "Of course. Your quantum wake was detected the moment you entered the system. Rather sloppy, if you don't mind my saying so. Though I suppose that's to be expected when you're relying on conventional drives instead of probability manipulation." Zyra moved closer to the display, her tentacles writhing with scientific curiosity. "Probability manipulation. But that's theoretical. The quantum uncertainty principle makes it impossible to." "Impossible?" Chen's smile widened. "We found that impossible is usually just a limitation of perspective. When we couldn't access your quantum exchange, we were forced to think creatively." The Admiral's scales had settled into a pale yellow of fascination mixed with dread. "How long have you had this technology?" "We achieved our first successful quantum foam materialization about 15 years ago." "But that's not why you're here, is it?" Chen's expression grew serious. "You're here because you detected our quantum beacon network. The one we've been using to track the Devourers." The word sent a chill through every alien on the bridge. The Devourers were supposed to be a myth, a boogeyman story told to scare young spawn about ancient planet-eating entities that supposedly lurked in the spaces between galaxies. "The Devourers are real," Chen continued, "and they're coming. We've been tracking their quantum disturbances for the past decade. That's why we developed all of this." She gestured, and a complex holographic display appeared, showing a vast network of quantum sensors extending far beyond Sol System. "We couldn't warn you directly. You might have dismissed us as primitive paranoids. So we waited for you to notice us instead." Vextel felt his scales shifting to the deep blue of revelation. This wasn't just first contact with a new species. This was first contact with humanity's quantum defense network, a network that might be the galaxy's only warning system against a threat most believed was mere legend. "Captain Chen," he said carefully, I believe we have much to discuss. The conference room aboard the Eternal Wisdom hummed with an energy that had nothing to do with its quantum stabilizers. Admiral Vextall sat at the head of the crystalline table, his scales now a thoughtful shade of purple as he watched Captain Chen interface with their ship's systems. The neural crown on her head pulsed with subtle lights as streams of data flowed directly into her consciousness. Your biological computing systems are elegant, she commented, eyes closed as she processed information at speeds that made the alien observers uncomfortable. But you're barely scratching the surface of their potential. Dr. Crix, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned forward on his support tentacles. What do you mean? We've been developing biotechnology for millennia. Chen opened her eyes, and for a moment, they seemed to contain galaxies. You've been developing biological computers as separate entities. We took a different approach. She gestured, and a holographic display materialized, showing the intricate architecture of Earth's neural defense network. When we first developed quantum technology, we quickly realized that traditional computing methods couldn't keep up with the processing demands of probability manipulation. Our computers, no matter how advanced, couldn't handle the complexity of quantum calculations fast enough to make practical use of them. The display shifted, showing human neural patterns interacting directly with quantum fields. So we stopped trying to build better computers and started improving ourselves instead. Zyra's tentacles coiled in shock. You modified your own neural architecture. Not exactly, Chen smiled. We enhanced it. The human brain already operates on quantum principles at the neuronal level. We just amplified that natural capability. The neural crowns aren't control devices. They're amplifiers, allowing us to extend our natural quantum processing abilities. The display showed a vast network of interconnected human minds, each one processing quantum data in parallel. Every quantum ship in our fleet is piloted this way. The neural network allows us to process quantum probabilities instinctively, to feel the quantum foam the way you feel the passage of time. Admiral Vextall's scales shifted to a deep orange of concern. But the risks, the potential for mental degradation, were significant, Chen acknowledged. We lost many volunteers in the early days. But we adapted, evolved. Each generation of neural interfaces became more sophisticated, more harmonious with our natural cognitive processes. She paused, looking each alien in the eye. And now we need this technology more than ever. The display changed again, showing a massive disturbance in the quantum field at the edge of charted space. The Devorer's signature was unmistakable, a void in the quantum probability matrix, expanding steadily toward populated space. Our quantum sensors can detect them, but processing the data quickly enough to track their movements requires more computing power than any artificial system can provide. That's why we created the neural network. Millions of human minds, working in parallel, processing quantum data in real time. Dr. Crix's tentacles trembled. You've linked millions of human minds together. Not exactly, Chen corrected. We've given millions of human minds the ability to process quantum data independently, but with the option to share information when needed. Think of it as a vast parallel processing network, but one where each node retains its independence and individual consciousness. She stood, her neural crown gleaming. And now we're detecting something new. The Devorers aren't just moving, they're accelerating. We estimate they'll reach the first populated systems within 5 years. Admiral Vextall's scales had shifted to the pale gray of decisive action. The Galactic Council must be informed. Agreed, Chen nodded. But more than that, we need to prepare. Your species have technologies we've never dreamed of, and we have capabilities you never thought possible. If we're going to survive what's coming, we need to combine our strengths. She waved her hand, and a new hologram appeared, a design for a hybrid vessel that combined Galactic Council technology with human quantum systems and neural interfaces. This is just a preliminary concept, but imagine. Your crystalline hulls, capable of channeling quantum energies focused by human neural networks. ships that can think and react at quantum speeds, crewed by both our species. The aliens stared at the design, minds racing with possibilities. They had come expecting to find a primitive civilization. Instead, they had found partners in what might become the greatest technological revolution and the most important defense initiative in galactic history. "The Devourers are coming," Chen said softly. "But when they arrive, they'll find something they've never encountered before. A galaxy that has learned to combine the best of all its children's innovations. The question is, will you help us?" 3 months after first contact, the Galactic Council's emergency session chamber was in chaos. The massive quantum disturbance that had been detected near the Carina arm wasn't a devourer. It was something potentially worse. A cascading quantum chain reaction threatened to destabilize spacetime across 17 star systems. Captain Chen stood before the assembled representatives, her neural crown pulsing with rapid calculations as she processed the quantum data streams. Behind her, Admiral Vextel's scales had taken on the deep red of emergency status. "The containment fields aren't working," announced the Malorian representative, their crystalline form vibrating with distress. "Our best quantum physicists estimate total system collapse within 72 hours. "That's because you're trying to stop it," Chen said quietly. The chamber fell silent. "You can't stop a quantum cascade, but you can guide it." She raised her hand, and the chamber's holographic display transformed into a complex mathematical model. "We discovered this principle during our early quantum experiments. When we tried to contain quantum fluctuations, they grew exponentially. But when we learned to ride them, to guide them like a wave," she smiled, "well, that's how we developed our quantum ships." "Impossible," declared the senior theorist of the quantum exchange. "The uncertainty principle clearly states that you can't precisely measure both position and momentum," Chen interrupted. "But we're not trying to measure it. We're trying to surf it." She interfaced directly with the chamber systems, her neural crown allowing her to manipulate the display with thought alone. The mathematical model expanded, showing probability waves interacting in complex patterns. "Look at the cascade not as a problem to be contained, but as energy to be redirected. Our quantum surfers can guide these waves, channel them into constructive interference patterns instead of destructive ones." Admiral Vextel stepped forward, his scales shifting to a cautionary yellow. "What exactly are you proposing, Captain?" "We deploy the neural network. 1,000 human quantum surfers working in parallel, each riding a different probability wave of the cascade. We don't try to stop it. We guide it into a controlled quantum loop, bleeding off energy gradually until it stabilizes naturally." The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. The idea was unprecedented, dangerous, possibly suicidal. No one had ever attempted to manipulate a quantum cascade on this scale. "It's already been tested," Chen announced, silencing the chamber. "On a smaller scale, of course, but the principles are sound. We've been using similar techniques to contain our own quantum experiments for years." She projected another simulation, showing the predicted outcome. "Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, some of our surfers might be lost in probability space, but we volunteered for this. Every quantum surfer in the fleet knows the risks and is willing to take them." The Malorian representative's crystalline form pulsed with hope. "You would risk your people to save our systems. We're all in this galaxy together," Chen replied. "And we'll need your help too. Your crystalline ships can act as quantum resonance amplifiers, helping our surfers maintain their probability waves. This has to be a joint operation." Admiral Vextel's scales had shifted to the deep blue of decisive action. "I've seen what humans can do with quantum mechanics. If Captain Chen says this is possible, I believe her." The council chambers buzzed with rapid discussions. They had 48 hours before the cascade reached critical mass. Traditional methods had failed. What choice did they have? "Very well," the council president declared. "You have our authorization, Captain. How quickly can your quantum surfers be ready?" Chen's smile was fierce. "They already are. The moment we detected the cascade, We began positioning our ships. We just needed your permission to act, and your help to succeed. The next 48 hours would become legend in galactic history. 1,000 human quantum surfers, their neural crowns blazing with activity, rode probability waves through the cascade while crystalline alien ships amplified their efforts. They didn't fight the quantum chaos. They became part of it, guiding it, shaping it, transforming destructive interference into constructive patterns. Some surfers were temporarily lost in probability space, existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously before their colleagues could pull them back to baseline reality. Others experienced time dilation, living years in what felt like moments as they manipulated quantum fields directly. But in the end, they succeeded. The cascade was transformed into a stable quantum loop, its energy gradually bleeding off into harmless background radiation. 17 star systems were saved, and the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. Sometimes the most intelligent approach wasn't to fight chaos, but to embrace it and guide it to a new form of order. As the quantum surfers recovered and the danger passed, Admiral Vextal found Chen in the observation deck of his ship, watching the now stable quantum loop shimmer in space. "You knew this would work," he said, his scales showing patterns of amazement and revelation. "We hoped it would work," she corrected. "But that's what humans do best. We hope, and then we turn that hope into reality through sheer determination and creativity." In the aftermath of the quantum cascade crisis, humanity's stock in the galactic community had risen dramatically. Yet Captain Chen knew they hadn't revealed their greatest innovation. Until now. The observation deck of the prototype vessel Genesis looked out over Earth's orbital shipyards, where something unprecedented was taking shape. By all known principles of engineering, this shouldn't be possible, Dr. Kurix muttered, his tentacles writhing in agitation as he studied the readings. The cellular structure, it's both organic and mechanical, but neither at the same time. "We call it biotechnological integration," Chen explained, watching the massive structure pulse with its own rhythmic life. But that's an oversimplification. Genesis isn't just a ship with biological components. She's a living entity that grows her own mechanical systems. The gathered alien scientists watched in fascination as the shipyard's nutrient feeds pulsed with glowing quantum-enriched biomatter. The vessel's hull wasn't being constructed. It was growing, cell by cell, circuit by circuit. Mechanical systems emerged from organic tissue, while biological neural networks intertwined with quantum processors. Admiral Vextal's scales had taken on the pearlescent sheen of wonder. "How did you achieve this?" Chen's neural crown flickered as she interfaced with Genesis' developing consciousness. "It started with our quantum neural interfaces. We discovered that human consciousness could exist in a quantum state, neither fully organic nor fully digital. That led us to ask, why couldn't we create an entire ship the same way?" She gestured, and holographic displays showed the ship's internal structure. The hull is grown from engineered stem cells that naturally produce carbon nanotubes and metallic alloys. The quantum drive isn't installed. It's cultivated from specialized organs that process quantum foam directly. Even the weapon systems are biomechanical, grown rather than assembled. "But the complexity," Crix protested. "The coordination required between organic and mechanical systems is handled by the ship's own neural network," Chen finished. "Like any living thing, Genesis knows how to grow herself. We just provide the blueprint, DNA merged with quantum coding, and the resources she needs to develop." A small alert chimed, and Chen smiled. "Ah, perfect timing. Genesis is ready for her first neural synchronization. Would you like to witness it?" The alien observers watched as Chen settled into a specially designed synchronization chamber. Her neural crown connected with the ship's systems, but this was different from standard quantum interfaces. As the chamber activated, Chen's consciousness began to merge with the ship's developing neural network. Through Chen's shared perception, the aliens experienced Genesis's awakening. The ship wasn't just a vessel. It was alive, curious, eager to learn and grow. Its consciousness was alien but not unfamiliar, a unique blend of organic intuition and quantum processing power. "Hello, Genesis," Chen thought/spoke, her words carrying through both verbal and neural channels. "Hello, Captain," the ship responded, its thoughts manifesting as patterns of light and quantum fluctuations. "I am aware." "This is extraordinary," Vextol breathed, his scales cycling through colors of amazement. "The ship truly lives." "More than that," Chen said, maintaining her connection with Genesis. "She evolves. Each living ship learns from its experiences, adapts its growth patterns, improves its systems organically, and when they reproduce. Crix's tentacles froze in shock. "These ships can reproduce." Chen's smile widened. "With help from our shipyards, yes. Each new ship begins as a combination of specialized cells from existing vessels, allowing us to pass on successful adaptations while engineering new improvements. Genesis is our latest generation, the first designed specifically to interface with both human and alien crew members. Through their shared consciousness, Genesis projected an image of her completed form, a seamless fusion of organic grace and mechanical precision, her hull alive with bioluminescent patterns that mirrored quantum probability waves. Her internal spaces would adapt to her crew's needs, growing and reconfiguring as required. This is why we believe we have a chance against the Devourers, Chen explained. Our living ships can adapt and evolve in real time, responding to threats in ways no conventional vessel could. And with the addition of your crystalline technology and other galactic innovations, she didn't need to finish the thought. The implications were clear. Humanity hadn't just created ships, they'd created a new form of life, one that could help defend the galaxy through continuous evolution and adaptation. There's something else you should know, Chen added, as Genesis's consciousness gently intertwined with her own. The living ships, they dream. When they're growing, when they're traveling through quantum space, they dream of the stars, of exploration, of protecting their crews. They dream of a galaxy united not by fear of the Devourers, but by the shared wonder of discovery. As if in response, Genesis pulsed with patterns of light that seemed to reflect every color in the spectrum. She was young, newly awakened, but her potential was virtually limitless. Like humanity itself, she represented a fusion of multiple approaches, organic and mechanical, planned and evolved, structured and adaptable. The gathered aliens realized they were witnessing more than a technological breakthrough. This was evolution in action, guided by human ingenuity, but free to grow in unexpected directions. It was, perhaps, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the ability to create new life that could help ensure the survival of all life. 1 year after the unveiling of Genesis, the landscape of galactic civilization had changed dramatically. The massive chamber of the Galactic Council no longer felt alien to Captain Chen as she stood before the assembled representatives. Behind her, a holographic display showed the latest quantum sensor readings of the approaching Devourers, while beside her, Admiral Vextol's scales shimmered with determined purpose. The integration program has exceeded all expectations, Chen reported, her neural crown pulsing softly as she shared data directly with the Council's systems. 37 living ships have now reached maturity, each crewed by mixed teams of humans and member species. The synthesis of crystalline technology, with our bioquantum systems, has produced capabilities we never imagined possible. The display shifted to show one of the new hybrid vessels. Its living hull had naturally grown crystalline structures that amplified its quantum field manipulation abilities, while neural interfaces adapted to the unique physiologies of dozen different species. The ship was neither purely human technology nor purely alien. It was something entirely new. But more importantly, Chen continued, we've learned from each other. Our quantum surfers now train alongside Milorian crystal shapers. Centurion biotechnologists work with human genetic engineers to improve the ship's organic systems. The Arterian quantum theorists have helped us understand aspects of probability manipulation we never considered. The council president, a being of pure energy contained within an ancient mechanical shell, moved forward. Yet the devourers still approach. Will these innovations be enough? Chen's expression was grave but determined. The devourers expect to find a galaxy of separate species, each trying to survive alone. Instead, they'll face the combined creativity and determination of every spacefaring civilization, working as one. She interfaced directly with the chamber systems, and the holographic display expanded to show the full scope of their preparations. Hundreds of quantum sensor arrays stretched across the galaxy, their data processed by massive neural networks composed of both organic and artificial minds. Living ships patrolled the outer reaches, their evolved capabilities enhanced by technologies from a dozen different species. "We've created something they cannot understand," Chen explained. "The devourers consume by breaking down barriers between realities, by creating chaos in ordered systems. But our living ships thrive on quantum uncertainty. Our neural networks process chaos itself. We don't fight the fundamental forces of the universe. We've learned to work with them, to grow with them, to evolve alongside them." Admiral Vextel stepped forward, his scales now showing the deep gold of profound realization. "When my ship first entered the Sol system, we thought we were discovering a primitive species. Instead, we discovered the key to our own evolution. Humanity didn't just create new technologies. They showed us a new way to think about existence itself." The display shifted again, showing the first contact between eternal wisdom and Earth's quantum ships. Then it showed the quantum cascade crisis, the birth of Genesis, and the rapid developments that followed. Each step had brought the galaxy's species closer together, breaking down barriers of tradition and assumption. "The devourers are not invincible," Chen declared. "They're simply another form of life, following their own path of evolution. But we, all of us together, have chosen a different path. We've chosen to evolve through cooperation, through the combination of different perspectives and approaches." She raised her hand, and Genesis appeared in the display, now fully mature and more magnificent than ever. The living ship had evolved far beyond her original design, incorporating innovations from every species that served aboard her. She was proof that life could transcend its origins, that the combination of different approaches could create something greater than the sum of its parts. "In 3 months, the devourers will reach the outer rim of our galaxy," Chen said. "They expect to find easy prey, divided, fearful species fighting alone against chaos. Instead, they'll find evolution's children, a unified galaxy that has learned to surf the quantum foam, to grow living ships that dream, to combine the best aspects of organic and mechanical existence." The chamber was silent for a moment, then erupted in a chorus of agreement. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion now stood together, ready to face an ancient threat with innovations that none of them could have developed alone. As the council session ended, Admiral Vextel found Chen in Genesis' observation deck, watching the quantum streams that flowed through space like rivers of probability. "Do you ever wonder," he asked, his scales showing thoughtful blue patterns, "what humanity would have become if you'd had access to the quantum exchange from the beginning, if you hadn't been forced to find your own path?" Chen smiled, feeling Genesis's consciousness brush against her own through their neural link. "We would have missed the joy of discovery, the thrill of solving problems in new ways. Sometimes the hardest path leads to the most beautiful destinations." Together, they watched as a fleet of living ships emerged from quantum space, their hybrid crews working in perfect harmony, their evolved systems ready to defend not just humanity, not just individual species, but the very principle of cooperative evolution itself. They were no longer separate species facing extinction. They were evolution's children, ready to show the devourers that life would always find a way to adapt, to grow, and to thrive.